Daddy was, back then, Daddy had the attic fan, so we left the windows open and everything. And Daddy would be talking, and he was so loud that Uncle Bob and them used to think that Daddy was fighting in an argument, and he was just talking. That was just his way of talking.
I know. I remember.
I know and I think that's kind of a genetic thing, because I mean, I'm that way.
You're loud.
No, well, no, I think we're all just loud. But you know what I remember about him is how he would always make an entrance.
Oh yeah, he was always the center of attention, and it didn't take you long to know who was in the room, because you always heard him first. But he was always pulling pranks and stuff to, at people. He was always telling a joke or pulling a prank on somebody. Just like, I probably told you this story before, but I'll never forget it because it was so funny. Grandma Zen loved ice cream. And so I don't remember exactly what kind it was, but she had a favorite, right? And so Daddy would go to Navy Landing and buy her a half a gallon of ice cream whenever she wanted it. Because by that time, her and Grandpa had retired, and they only come to Benton once a month, to get their checks and stuff.
Yeah.
So what he did one time was he took the ice cream and he ate it all himself, right? So what he did was he got a frog, and he puts the frog in this ice cream cart, and he puts it in the ice chest. And Grandma Zen had a little ritual she went through. It took her forever to get ready, but because she would get out her, it was while they're camping, outside. She had her little TV tray, and she would put newspaper over it. She was a very clean person. And she would get a little napkin and put her silverware in it. I mean, it took her 20 minutes to get ready to sit down. And Daddy was so antsy. It was all we could do to keep from busting out, And it was hard, but we did. And so Grandma says, "I'm ready for my ice cream." So she gets a bowl, she gets a spoon, and Daddy sits the thing of ice cream there. And so she opens it, and this frog jumps out in her lap, and she rolls back, goes backwards and squealed and screamed a little bit, and she goes, "George Zen, I'm going to kill you." And it was hilarious. And I wasn't very old when he did it. I might have been 7 or 8, but that is very vivid in my mind because I thought it was great. And I'm surprised Grandma didn't knock him out. Oh. And when Daddy was little, if Grandma would get on to him for Lord knows what, Daddy was kind of ornery as a kid growing up. And he knew and he would know, when he was in trouble. And so what he did to keep from getting a whipping from Grandma, he would climb under the house. And he would stay under the house until Grandpa got home. Of course, Grandpa, Daddy would come out for Grandpa because he knew Grandpa would beat his butt. But I don't think Grandma Zen ever spanked him very much. But Daddy did all kinds of crazy stuff. Another funny story I can tell you. Daddy and who was it? One of the local boys, I don't remember who, but they were playing. And you know where Grandma's and Grandpa's house is? But right there in the middle of the property at that time, they had a huge, I call it a redbud tree. But it was big, but it had split branches like that. And what made it so funny is they were playing cowboys and Indians. But they had Aunt Jean and Aunt Tenny trying to hang them, in the tree for real. God. And so if it hadn't been for Grandma, they might have accidentally killed one of them because they were actually had ropes tied to their neck. One of them had a rope around their neck, and the other one had rope on their feet, and they're hanging upside down, and they were trying to balance on there, like that. And if Grandma hadn't come around the corner, it was Aunt Mill and Aunt Jean, Uncle Bob's future wife. But I mean, they did crazy stuff like that. They could have been killed. And they would go down to the bridge, and he would deliberately push that mill off the bridge. I mean, he did all kinds of crazy stuff like that. It's a miracle that Aunt Mill survived.
I think I'm the only smart one out of any of y'all that didn't ever get behind a boat and look with Papa.
Oh my Lord! I could tell you a bunch of stories about that.
Oh, I know.
That saucer, Daddy made. I know that's way before your time, right?
I've heard the story.
But Daddy had what Daddy did was he took. I don't exactly know how he did it, but it was around, and it was a circle, a perfect circle, and it was made out of wood, and he fixed it to where you could put a rope from it, and it was kind of shaped a certain way, but it was like
stupid.
Yeah. And anyway, you get on that thing, and that thing would go in all kinds of different directions. And I've seen some crazy stuff on that thing. He pulled Freddie Baker was Daddy's best friends.
That's wonderful.
And then as kids would get on there, and I mean that saucer, that saucer would swing around and get in front of the boat, and then it would swing way out. And
keep talking.
I know, but I'm not going to he won't hear the story. I want him to hear the story. There's no reason. I mean, if he don't hear the story, there's no sense in me telling it, right? Back in the old days, people didn't have everything at their fingertips. The way they communicated was the generations passing stories down. And even back in the biblical days before, it was a long time before people learned how to read and write a lot of times. And so in the Bible, the priests and stuff used to read the Bible to people because most of the time the priests were the only ones that were educated enough to read and, know the Bible. So when they had their special holidays and stuff, the preachers would read to the people. And that's how they learned their stuff. And, we wasn't able to have the Bible in the King James Version until like the 1600s when King James ordered his people to convert the Bible from the scrolls into a book. And you know why it's called Bible? It's because they made it out of a bark of, I think it's not biblical, but it's like it was some kind of a tree bark that they wrote the words on the Bible, but I don't know how to pronounce it. But that's why it was called a Bible or something.
You don't have to put those on. I just like to wear sunglasses.
That looks kind of funny. It does.
What?
Y'all look retro, like y'all going back to the 60s, man.
We are.
Say,
we're cool kids.
Groovy, man. Groovy. Peace, brother.
So you want to know the truth? So
what?
The truth is, whenever you were telling me that story, I was getting a little bit emotional, and I like to wear these sunglasses to hide it.
I'm sorry.
No, don't be sorry. I like it.
You aren't getting emotional.
You're right. That's why I got these sunglasses. Keep telling your stories.
Well, let's see.
We're
Which
talking
one
about the
did
saucer.
Yeah.
What?
The
About
saucer.
the hanging? Oh, yeah, the saucer. Okay, anyway, the saucer. That thing, once it got up over that wave, that thing was like a true coffee saucer. That thing would swing out way in front of the boat, and then it would swing way back behind the boat, and then it would go way back to the other side. And that thing, you couldn't hang on to it. I mean, it was like, doing, 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 doing. And Daddy would try to have Wendy and Teresa and Susie try to stand up on it like you do a ski. And, I mean, that thing was a killer.
It'd swing you up.
I'm serious. And one time Freddie Baker was riding it, and you slide off of it. And he slid off of that thing, and he skipped the water like it was a rock. And Lord knows how many feet he did. And then one time he fell off again, and he didn't stop. He just kept on coming up the bank. And he hit it so hard, back then they had what they called waist belts for their safety jackets and stuff. And he hit it so hard that belt left an imprint on his stomach.
Gosh.
And after that happened, I said, why in the crap would somebody get back on that and do it again?
Oh, like I said, I was the only smart one that never got behind Papa.
It didn't,
It wouldn't happen.
There was a lot of crazy stuff that happened, but they had to hurt. And Aunt Mill did the same thing. And anyway, that saucer would just go any direction it wants to. And it would just, and Daddy would deliberately, he'd do to trick people. He would put enough.
Hey, Renee, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He would turn it just enough to put some slack. He would turn it just to put some slack in the rope.
Oh, I remember.
Yeah.
And jerk you.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
And he would deliberately do stuff to try to make people fall. He thought it was funny.
Mm-hmm.
And he had us do some crazy stuff. Well, I never get to do it because I couldn't ski, but Wendy can attest to this. Wendy was always, she developed a lot earlier than we did, and she was always the biggest one of us. So Wendy would start out skiing, and Daddy would have Susie climb up on Wendy and ski like that. And then sometimes he would have two of them skiing with the other one holding them up in some kind of crazy way. And, they got pretty good at it. And I said, shoot, y'all should go do those shows like they do on TV, But he would have them ride together and all kinds of stuff. I used to laugh. I don't see, it's a miracle that any of us survived.
I know.
I know. One time, what Daddy's going to do? If we had any kind of snow and stuff, ice, Daddy would take that same saucer and pull us behind the Scout on the street. And we would, it was slide. Sometimes it'd go in one ditch and go over the other ditch.
But was it icy or just?
Yeah, it was icy. It wouldn't have been able to do it.
Yeah.
And sometimes, there was no telling where it would slide. It would slide sometimes from ditch to ditch, or sometimes slide towards the Scout and stuff. And Mama, you should see Mama. Daddy was doing this. I guess Mama didn't know about it. And Mama said, Georgine, you better not kill my kids. You stop doing that. You're going to kill them. Like I said, it was a miracle that any of us survived. And it was just fun. It was just, Daddy was like a big kid. He really was. And he was spoiled rotten. Because there was 13 years between Aunt Tenny. Let's see, there was 2 years. Let's see, Aunt Tenny was the oldest, and I think there was 2 years between her and Aunt Sudie. It was like Grandma and Grandpa Zen had like two different families to raise. Because in that 13 years, Daddy was born, and then 2 or 3 years later, Aunt Mill was born. So it's like, a big difference in their age. But, Daddy was just like the way he raised us. We were tomboys. I wasn't, but the rest of them was. He wouldn't let me do stuff because he was always afraid I'd get hurt. But I know that he did it out of love. But the only way that I used to get to do stuff is Mom would let me do stuff. But when he got home, I didn't get to. But Wendy taught me how to ride a bicycle, and she taught me how to do a lot of stuff. And she will tell you to this day all the crazy stuff that happened. Because we would go skating, and I would try to hang on to the rail. And so here we go. We'd get in a pretty good rhythm. We'd be skating along, and I wouldn't hang on to the rail. We'd get away from the rail a little bit. And one time I started falling, and back then they used to wear shirts that kind of low cut, but they had, elastic kind of, I used to call them Spanish shirts. They were real pretty. They just kind of hung on the shoulders.
Yeah.
When I started falling, I just started reaching for whatever,
Yeah.
And I grabbed her shirt, and it ripped. And I mean, her shirt was ripped. And here she is hanging out at the skating ring with her bra hanging out. And she was trying to cover herself up. And I was just trying to reach for everything I could. And I'm not sure exactly what happened after that. I know we had to leave. Because I ripped her shirt.
Yeah. Man.
I'm telling you, we did some crazy stuff. And I mean, it wasn't anything that we tried to do. We were just kind of like a magnet. It just kind of happened.
Yeah.
I wouldn't trade none of that for nothing. That's why I miss them so much. But Daddy would try anything. Like I said, Daddy was a big kid.
You know what? I'm gonna text.
Can you imagine all that stuff happening?
I know.
But right? Wendy and Teresa and Susie got to where they were pretty good at doing tricks on the skis, because they could slalom ski. They would start skiing and they would kick one of the skis off.
Yeah.
And I don't know what they call it, but like when you're coming back up to the bank, to stop skiing, it was called slalom skiing.
Yeah.
But when they were fixing to finish, they would just come up to the shallow water, and if you did it right, would just step out of their skis. You could slalom ski and not even get wet if you didn't fall. But I never tried. Mama tried so hard one time to try to teach me how to ski. And she said, I think I swallowed half of Lake Ouachita because, I wanted to be like everybody else and I wanted to ski so bad. And I tried and I had the strength to pull myself up with my arms. But once I tried to get up, out of the water, my legs weren't strong enough. And so the skis, would go like that. And of course I would fall. And, like I said, I was trying to learn how to ski. And Daddy goes, I know a way to help her ski. And Mom goes, what? He said, let's get a lounge chair and tie the skis to it. And she can ski like that. And Mama goes, you're going to kill her. She can't do that. But he was serious about doing that. And I said, how in the world are you going to do that? Like I said, I think we're half nuts.
I know, right? Man.
Excuse me, a lot of people may think these stories are maybe abusive or something, but they really weren't.
No, you know what I love too? Is think about having these documented, right?
Oh, yeah.
How cool is that?
Well, it's cool because like I was telling Renee a while ago, for a long time, I mean, it was a long time before people were educated enough to read, And so back in the biblical days, when they had Passover and I can't think of the name, like the temple, they had like 3 major services a year. And they would come to Jerusalem. And those people couldn't read or write, so the preachers read the Bible to them. And they just had to learn it, from memory.
Mm-hmm.
Excuse me. Because back in those days, the preachers were the ones that were educated. They even learned, like, Latin.
Right.
And then also, they've done documentaries at Shepherd's Chapel where, they can prove that the preachers or the priests would travel from Ireland and England to settle, and they converted a lot of the Indians and stuff. And they were educated and they would write in an old language that was called Ogram. And it was an old Hebrew language.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the way they wrote their words was just they didn't do the vowels. So they would just, put the letters, and then it would mean different words. And then I don't know exactly what they called it, but like on the stuff that they've recorded on rocks and stuff, they would have like they called a stem line, and then certain letters they made like 2 bars above it, and they'd make other bars below it. And so depending on which letter meant what, that's how they would communicate. And then they started doing what they call those petroglyphs, where they, they have found writings of all these different Indians that are thousands of years old. Just like the what was the Indians that were back in Mexico, the Aztecs? What was the other main tribe that was back in Mexico and stuff? What do they call those Indians? I know the word, I just can't think of it. But they built the pyramids, with the big steps. Those things have been in lots of movies.
Yeah.
But I've always liked history. I like history and agriculture. One time at work, I got to go to Baltimore, and then in the evenings when we got through, we would, they told us not to go, out walking by ourselves. So we got about 6, 7, 8 of us together walking up and down the streets because we were right there at the bay. Right there on the ocean. And I got to walk through there, and they had houses that dated back to the 1700s. And they were still in good condition. I thought that was so cool to be in the actual place where our forefathers started, like Liberty Bell, and they even had the first Congress. Had the first building where they wrote the Declaration of Independence and stuff. That was awesome. But I didn't get to see as much as I wanted to because by the time we got out of class, it was dark and everything would be shut down. So the only part of the Smithsonian I got to see was whatever kind of peeking I could do.
Yeah. Sorry, I was distracted there. I was just updating some of our information.
Did you know that the coronation stone, they have used, that stone, supposedly, when Jacob made a trip one time, the biblical Jacob, he was making a trip, and he used the stone for his pillow.
Mm.
And so, that was when he had the dream of seeing the angels climbing up and down the ladder between him and God, right? So he carried the stone with him because he anointed it and made it like an altar. So they believe that stone was carried by our peoples as they migrated. Mm. And so one time in the desert, that rock, Moses was told to strike the rock and, to bring water out of it. Well, God just told him to hit the rock once. And he hit it twice. And he made the statement that, not to... Anyway, he did it wrong, and he was never allowed to see the promised land. Mm. But it was real interesting because that rock has continued to exist. And now that rock is called the Stone of Stones. And they do all the coronation of all the kings and queens with that rock under the royal chair. Mm. And that's been being done since the first kings. Saul was our very first king that God picked.
Yeah, I remember that.
And then...
wait a minute.
Yeah, he was the first king.
You're right.
Saul was the first king picked by God. And then after Saul started getting crazy or something, David was the second king.
Right.
But
no, you know what? Saul was who the men picked, and God never liked him.
No, in the beginning, God did pick Saul.
Did he?
Yes, he did.
Oh,
but what happened to Saul was he got to where he started worshiping other gods, and he became possessed by a demon, and he started doing crazy stuff, and David had to run away because Saul was constantly trying to kill him.
Yeah, Saul was trying to kill David.
Anyway, he finally was killed in a battle or something.
I remember that I think David had a couple of chances to kill him, but he didn't.
He did.
Yeah,
he did. David could have killed him many times.
Right.
But David had he had a group of men that traveled with him, and I think in the beginning it was maybe 100, and by the time he was king, I think it was like 300 or 400. It was fighting men. He had to fight a lot.
Yeah, he did.
And they cleaned out. I mean, God had them fight to clean out the promised land, because he had made a contract with Abraham to give each tribe, a certain area, like Dan, Issachar, Gad, 12, Reuben. There's actually 12 patriarchs of Jacob's children.
Just so you know, you have 3 people here, one of whom is my dad. My dad's here. He's watching us. He just said hi.
Here.
He said hi, y'all. Oh, you have a couple people here talking to you. You've had a couple people say to eek. And then my dad just showed up and he said hi, y'all. And then Boss, he's a friend of mine, says hey. And then
where's he at?
He says good to see y'all. Well, he can see us. You can see us on your phone. So
hey, John.
You can see down here on the floor. He says good to see y'all. I don't know if you can see that down there.
No, I can't see that.
Oh well. You want maybe? Yeah, I can read it to you. No worries.
Anyway, that's pretty cool. I hadn't seen your daddy in a long time.
Yeah.
I always knew that he'd moved to Texas, because after his dad died, you were his main family. He was an only child. Well, I think so.
No, he wasn't.
I may be wrong.
He wasn't an only child.
Your daddy wasn't an only child?
No, he had his older sister.
He did?
Mm-hmm. That's where they moved. That's where they lived with when they moved to San Antonio.
Oh, well, I didn't know that.
Yeah. So, what was that like when what was my birth like? Not to bring it back to me, but what was my birth like from your perspective?
Susie made it look easy. It's like, it was kind of funny because Wendy knew she was probably coming into labor, right? So she told me, I can't go up there. I got to take a shower and fix my hair and put on makeup. She shaved her legs. And the whole time Wendy's like hitting the panic button, right? And Wendy kept trying to get Susie to hurry up. And I mean, by the time Wendy got her to the hospital, they barely had put a gown on her, and you were born. I mean, she waited down to the last minute, and she made having a baby look like it was like just blow it in the wind.
So what was the scene like? So she was living, where were y'all living?
She was living with Daddy.
And where? Like describe the scene. Because you have an audience, so describe the scene.
I wasn't in the labor room, so I don't know how that was, but
like you're in Arkansas, you're in Arkansas, and it's what year is it?
We were
1980.
At Saline Memorial.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was 1980, February the 15th, which is
your
birthday.
And so she's how old? She's 17.
Yeah.
And you were how old?
Well, I'm 4 years older than her.
So you were 20?
Yeah, I guess.
So where were you living?
I was living in the house next door. That was when I was still married to Danny.
Okay.
And, but I mean, like I said, she made it look like it was nothing. And, like, pop, there you was. Like that, what do you call that comedian that says, get her done.
Oh, yeah, Jeff Foxworthy. Yeah.
No, that's not. He's the Larry the Cable Man.
Oh, yeah, Larry the Cable Guy.
I think the dude that, Tim somebody?
Tim the Tool Man.
Yeah, I think he's funny.
Oh, me too.
But let's see. I think your daddy was there, but I don't know if he was in the labor room or not. Was he?
Oh, she's in here. Oh, it's she may be watching on her phone. They're in the other room.
No, I meant John. Was he in the labor room with
No,
her?
he said, I see Susan
Dad,
and her.
were you in the labor room when I was born? What were you though? What were you? You were where?
I was at the hospital outside the room. They wouldn't let us go in. But we were able to, see you after they cleaned you up and put you in the nursery.
Yeah.
I used to work at Southern Memorial.
Yeah.
In labor and delivery, and what was so cool was that it was still small enough to where the women that were in labor were, in that area, but it was the same area. So you got to see the woman, go through labor, and then we had a birthing room, and, I got to be part of seeing babies getting born, and then we got to go back over to the nursery, and get them cleaned up and put them in their little baskets, and it was just so awesome.
Yeah.
Seeing someone born is a miracle.
And
even though you might see a lot of deliveries, each one was so special.
Wow.
I don't see how anybody could watch a baby being born and not believe in God. And even the Bible tells you that life begins at conception, not 5 months later when you can hear a heartbeat. But a lot of people don't believe that way, but I believe that way.
Right.
But what else are we talking about? But anyway, and then you wait enough to where you didn't have to stay in the hospital. I don't remember. The average stay was usually 2-3 days.
Yeah.
And it was just wow. But me and Susie were pregnant at the same time. She was just longer than I. Because there's 6 months between you and Dusty.
Yeah.
But Dusty was actually born a month early. Well, maybe not a whole month. My due date was August the 4th of 1980, and he was actually born July the 8th.
Don't give off too much like that. Yeah.
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 But it was cool. It was cool. Really cool.
Yeah.
And your Daddy told Susie that they could live there as long as they both promised, to finish high school.
Yeah.
And they did, and I don't remember why they left to go to Texas. That your daddy may have already got a job or something.
Yeah.
I don't remember, but it broke my heart when she left because, I always thought it would be so awesome for all of y'all to grow up and know each other the way we did. But that was an unusual situation that don't happen in families very often.
Yeah.
But you know something else that was so cool? Wendy and Teresa and Susie were all pregnant at the same time with their second children. So let me see. Okay. David, let's see. Which one's the oldest? David, Frank, no. It was Jessica, Frank, and Corey. But I can't remember who was first. Let's see. I think Corey was first. And, me and Corey had the same birthday. And then it was, who was born in July? Oh, shoot. Jessica. Her birthday is July the 24th, I think. I might be wrong on that. And then Frank is born September the 5th. And if I hadn't been there when Wendy had labor, I don't think Frank would have made it. Because Frank was born, it just so happened that he was born on the actual Labor Day.
Yeah.
And everybody in the family, of course, had gone to the lake. And the only reason why I was there was because I had to work.
Dang.
So Wendy goes into labor at Southwest Hospital, right? And I knew Frank was breech. And her OBGYN doctor said, we do not want you going into active labor. We want you to have this baby C-section. because he was breech.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it just so happened that Wendy's regular doctor was off, and this other idiot was on call there, and that doctor just she started going into labor, and I kept telling them, I said, her doctor doesn't want her to go in labor because she's having a complicated delivery, the breech, and a lot of babies die if they're not turned and stuff. Well, that stupid doctor just didn't do nothing. Made me mad, and I finally, the nurse said, "Oh, you can't go back there. You can't go back there." And I said, "You just watch me go back there." And I marched back there, and I told him, I said, "Listen to me, guy." I said, "You better deliver that baby because he's breech. Because if you don't, it may kill him." And I said, "And if it does, we're going to sue you to where you'll never see sunshine." I mean, I was mad. And I was telling him like it was. And he come out there, and he finally started taking care of Wendy. But I had to get mad and get ugly to make him do his job.
Don't you hate that?
Man.
Thank goodness you were there.
I know. That C-section, shoot, that probably would have killed Frank. Pregnancies are complicated enough without adding to it.
Yeah.
But what I understand is, you got doctors that are in the same office, that they cover for each other, and they should have communication to where whoever is on call knows the full history of their patients. If he had done that, he'd have known all that already.
Right. That's one way it's maybe getting a little bit better, but it's still got a long ways to go. It's crazy how bad the healthcare system still is.
I know. Obamacare actually made it worse. In a lot
Did
of
it?
ways.
Yeah. So let's talk about. So my dad wants to know before we go. Let's talk about Obamacare. That's fun.
No, I don't really want to get into that.
Okay. Well, my dad wants to know: do you still have the Scout?
Oh no, the Scout, Teresa and Jesse have it. I think they still have it, but that's who got it was Jesse and Teresa. And I think they still have it. I don't know if it's drivable or not, but I love that Scout because that's what I took my driving test in. What you been up to, John?
Oh man!
I hear you're married. Congratulations. How long have you been married?
We're gonna use that for something.
Well, my brain is kind of weird because I jump from subject to subject sometimes faster than I should.
Here's another one.
But we're all that way. Me and Wendy and Teresa. So maybe not Teresa, but we could be carried on a conversation and in 2 seconds I'm talking about something else. Or they're talking about something else and I totally don't understand what they're saying. Man, Brad, you got the longest, prettiest eyelashes. It's crazy how men can have such beautiful eyelashes that I would die for. And I don't have any eyelashes. And you got beautiful eyelashes. Women would love to have your eyelashes.
Oh, that is too nice. Thank you.
See, I just jumped from talking to John about being married, and now I'm talking about your eyelashes.
That's perfect.
See what I mean?
You know what? I'm right there with you, sister.
My brain jump around like crazy. People used to think, sometimes our friends would shake their heads and say, how in the world do y'all keep to know what you're talking about? But it wasn't just us, Aunt Tinny and Aunt Sudie and Daddy and them used to be like that. What are you looking at?
Have you met Mary? Have you met my dad's wife, Mary?
No.
She's here. She says hello. Her name
Hi.
is Dynamite. So
Her name is what?
Her name here in chat is Dynamite, but that her name
Dynamite.
her name in real life is Mary. You can call her Mary.
Well, congratulations, Mary. I'm sure y'all probably been married many years. I haven't seen John in a long time. I don't know how many years. But, anyway. So how many children do y'all have?
1 second. Let me just see. I'm trying to get this thing working. All right, now let's just see if it works. This is a test. Why doesn't it work?
I really like this room. It's awesome.
Yeah.
Because I would not be able to do all the technology.
I know it. It's a challenge, that's for sure.
I have an old picture of Mama that I took a picture of, and somehow a smiley face got in the middle of it with tears, and I've tried to remove it, and I can't remove it. Hopefully, maybe before we go home, you can show me how to do that, because I don't have very many pictures of Mom and Daddy when they were young.
Yeah.
And when you look at this old picture, you can tell how much Teresa and everybody looks like Mama.
Yeah.
Why are you crying?
I'm not crying.
You look like you are.
No.
Are you tired?
A little bit.
You probably didn't sleep much last night.
I feel like a baby.
I know, but you probably stayed up till 4 o'clock talking.
No.
I know how you
No, we
talk.
didn't. We went to bed at 10 or
Really?
11. Yeah.
Well, that's
11.
surprising.
I kept getting woken up by my
I
husband.
guess you know, that's a sign when you're getting old is when you quit staying up late.
Well, normally
I
I
know
I
it.
know, but you used to stay up late.
Mm-hmm.
I know you and Susie go a lot. You're a night person instead of a day person.
When I was with me and Susie, we stayed up all night.
Oh, I know. I know it.
I didn't want to
When
miss
I
any
was
time with
young,
her.
when I
When
was
it was
young, I
precious.
used to like to stay up. But man, I could stay up now maybe one night and I pay for it for like 3 days.
What time do you usually go to bed?
9:30, 10:30, something like that.
When did you start going to bed that early?
When Alan was working, because you know, I try to be respectful and get on his schedule so I don't wake him up.
That's nice of you.
But you know, I just got in the habit.
So what time do you wake up?
Usually 6 or 7 hours later.
So if you go to bed at 9:30, you wake up at like 4 in the morning?
No. What's 8 hours from like 9:30? I'm usually up by 7, 7:30 at the latest.
Got it.
But like if I go to bed at midnight, you know, I usually wake up maybe 6 hours later, or maybe a little bit longer, depending. But you know, when we was growing up, we always had 8 hours of sleep. I mean, I can remember Daddy putting us to bed in the summertime and it'd still be daylight outside. And I said, why do we have to go to bed? You can still see outside. But, you know, I mean, I understand why I did it now. But
well, I mean, it's because it got, in the summertime, it stays nighttime so light.
I know, but
it stays light so dark.
If the healthier sleep, sleep has a lot to do with it. What did you just say about what?
I don't even know, man. I said because in the summertime it stays light so late.
Oh, right.
My God, that's hard to say.
He butchered it like 4 times.
That's a tongue twister,
right?
Man. Can you do
it? Stays light till about 9:30.
Yeah, because
you did the pick your peppers pick.
Peter Pepper.
What is that?
Peppers.
Say that again. Pickled peppers.
No, Peter Piper picked a pail of peppers. Picked a pail of peppers.
I can't even say Peter Piper something. I don't see how you say that. Peter Piper picked a
pail of peppers.
A pail of peppers. I mean, oh my God. You gotta delete.
No,
you gotta delete that.
No, my God. No, you're right. That's what I'm doing.
I don't want nobody to hear me say peppers.
You're right. That's what I'm doing.
I said it wrong, and that would be inappropriate and very embarrassing. Lord help me.
No, you're doing fantastic.
Yeah, right.
You're doing great.
Here we go and say, hey, you gotta watch this crazy woman on this interview because we're gonna start a new comedy show.
Exclamation point. No, Dad, it's exclamation point clip. like this.
I always say stuff wrong. I've been telling Daddy for years that my brain and my tongue don't work together. I always use the excuses by cerebral palsy because, cerebral palsy is actually brain damage. What?
I'm saying that was cool.
Y'all are talking behind my back.
I'm not. I'm saying you're doing so good. Just that. I just think I've been telling Daddy for years that my brain and my whatever, just like that is so good. You could use that for so many things. I've been telling Daddy for years that my brain and my toes don't work together.
No, my mouth.
Oh yeah, that's my brain. Like
See?
what? Yeah.
I'm already rubbing off.
I know. It's fantastic, and we could use that in so many ways. I'm thanking you and marking those.
I think it may be a genetic thing.
There's another one. This is a gold mine.
It's in your DNA or the helix curve.
Yeah. Man, I'm just going to be these all night. I'm just going to have to just watch the whole thing later. Night Sky, I think you're going to have a field day. Maybe that's just me.
Who was Night Sky?
She is my newly hired video editor who I've just discovered I'm going to be paying a lot more money to because that's all right, though. They're like, that thing you thought was going to take 3 hours, it took a lot more than 3 hours.
Because she's gonna have to go through the whole. She's gonna have to go through the whole 4 hours of listening to my stupidity.
No, that's not it. No, this will be a pleasure. I can't wait. I'll do this for myself.
Oh Lord, I don't see how everybody thinks I'm an idiot.
No, you're not. You should come down. I think you should come down for a weekly show.
I used to take a course in junior high. It was called communications, and we would have to, we would have to have like a 3-minute speech, and you had to time it just right, and so you had to memorize your speech or use those little index cards and stuff. I used to love that class, and then it was kind of like being an actor course, because we learned not only speeches, but we would do dramatic acts or comedy acts in the class, and we also would have, debates about different subjects. And I always loved to debate. That was kind of fun. But I also liked acting, but I wouldn't want to have done that for a profession, because, it would be up, down, up, down, up, down.
Yeah.
A lot of artists starve because they can't make a living. There's so much competition.
Yeah.
And what in the world is chasing him over there? What is that? It kind of look like sharks or something.
It's a bunch of spoons.
It's what?
It's a bunch of spoons.
Do you mind if we can we show you? Do you mind?
I couldn't tell what it was from this distance.
All right, we're going to go on a little bit of a tour here.
We're going walking down the street. These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days I'm gonna overhaul you.
You know what, folks? No one has had any alcohol today. Well, you know what? That's not true.
I have.
A few drinks have been had, but have you had any drinks at all?
No, I don't drink.
No, you don't drink, correct?
I don't drink.
No, have you had anything to drink?
No, I am just.
How many drinks have you had?
3.
And you're the most sober person here. True or false?
False.
I'm sober.
Exactly.
This is just the way.
This is just the way we are.
This is just the way I am all the time.
That's just right. I know. I just want people to know.
I just like to have fun.
That's right. Oh my God. Clip that.
I like to tease people and I like to have fun.
Okay, we'll get that in a minute. Here's the camera over here.
Life is too short to be so serious all the time.
Man, so many moments. Well, give me one here, bud.
There was something else I was going to say, but I can't remember what it was. If it was important, it'll come to me maybe in 30 days or something. You know, when you get old, you kind of lose it. You lose your memory. Like that saying goes, if you don't use it, you lose it.
Yeah.
Well, so you say when you get older, you don't use your mind?
Actually, it's kind of backwards because when you're older, you lose it, but you don't want to lose it, but you can't help it.
I don't know about you, but I think that is brilliant.
Oh, God.
I couldn't have said it better myself. Where's my clip? Man, my clip command stopped working since I got affiliate, Lex. I need you to fix that. Now I have to actually type it. Like a chunk. See, I usually have a button right here. And anytime something, I can just press it. And what it does is it takes the last 30 seconds and it automatically takes a clip of that. And but now I have to type it.
So, for your work, what exactly do you do? I'm curious. I like to know things.
That's great.
That was that made you speechless?
I'm curious. I like to know things. Well,
I know, that's what I said.
I know. I love it. It's clippable. You're full of it. You're full of so many of these. They're great.
Yeah, I'm full of something. I just don't know what it is.
Jesus Christ. Keep going.
I just say stuff.
Yeah, we know.
That's pretty good too. But I think we can do better. On any other night, that would be great. I just say stuff. Yeah, that's kind of true.
You know what? Daddy always teased me because I'm the only person that's left-handed. And so he would tease me and he'd say, you are not, what was it? You were doing stuff the wrong way. You're using the wrong hand. And I would say, Daddy, I'm using my right brain because the right side of my brain is what makes me left-handed. And right brain, right? So it was natural.
Yeah.
So they were the ones that were backwards. I was in my right mind. So that kind of goes in several different directions.
Yeah.
Are you still playing like sports and stuff?
Me?
Yeah.
I'm just going to get a different angle here just for fun. Because why not? I was playing volleyball for a while. And then...
You used to play basketball.
No, I had to take volleyball. I had to stop basketball because of my knees. Because knees run the family, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that okay, Noah?
Susie,
no.
Bless her heart, she's had bad knees.
Yeah.
A long time. But back when she hurt her knees, they didn't know that much about technology, and I wouldn't want anybody to do surgery on me back then either.
Yeah.
Look at what they did to poor Wendy.
Yeah.
Wendy had surgery on her rotator cuff. She actually wound up falling down on that hill that they live at now, and she took a roll, and it stripped her rotator cuff, and so she had the surgery, and the surgery was good, but her idiot doctor started her on physical therapy the next day.
What?
And that's totally the opposite of what you're supposed to do.
Mm.
And now, bless her heart, both of her shoulders are messed up. And, with her being diabetic, nobody wants to do any kind of surgery.
Mm.
Bless her heart. Bless her heart. It really hurts my soul that she is in pain like that.
I know it.
I hate to see anybody in pain. I really miss being a nurse. I like being around people and talking to people and helping people.
I know it.
Am I fixing to be
You're
going
doing
around
great.
and around and around?
Nope, you're doing great. I'm just getting you a
Around
little bit
and
closer.
around with.
I want to make sure we got you good. All right.
Oh, you may got me, but I don't know if that's good or bad.
Oh, it's good. I think you're doing great. I want to get as many of these things documented.
I'm probably going to regret this in the morning.
No, you're not. You're going to tell.
Hurry!
You're going to tell. What are you doing? That's not you. You're not. You're totally sober. All you're doing is just telling stories.
I know.
I'm not telling a story. I'm just trying to talk.
I know you're doing great because you'll be able to tell your grandkids that you're a YouTube star now. Even on a talk show.
No, they're gonna say, "You've had Alzheimer's now for about 10 years."
You know what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna pull this TV up. This is one of the nice things about this studio. We can kind of pull this up so we can see.
Man, I wish what I looked like on that was the way I looked all the time.
Right.
I look like I'm really young on that.
Right.
That makes me look like I'm 20 years younger.
There we go.
Too bad I can't take that and make a picture and put it on top of my real face.
Yeah.
Oh, really? It's pretty cool.
I know.
I mean, look at Renee. Of course, Renee is naturally gorgeous.
Time to eat.
Oh no! Don't be showing the lower part of me.
What?
Don't show my lower part.
Oh, what you talking about? You're fine.
Because I'm fat.
Whatever. Ain't nobody looking at you.
I lost my glasses.
Again?
No, they just fell down out of my lap. Out of my lap. I say stuff wrong all the time.
Me too, all the time.
Well, I think that's one of the reasons. I mean, it's not really an excuse, but I think it's kind of funny. I said, the only reason why I talk like that is I've got brain damage. I had brain damage when I was born. That's what causes cerebral palsy. So when I act crazy, it's because I am.
Wow.
Cerebral palsy, depending on what area of the brain, makes you have separate.
It's Renee.
What?
It's Renee. That's going to be marked for when I act crazy, it's because I am. Just so we know.
Okay.
Well, cerebral palsy, what it does, it's a brain damage, and it's usually caused. It's causally. It's caused usually by trauma at birth, and it's actually a miracle that I was born, because I was born in 1959, way before they had all the technology that we have now. And Mama only carried me 6 months. And even today, it's unusual for babies, to live when they're that early. But, we have so much more technology and knowledge that, they didn't have back then.
Yeah.
So my birth was a miracle in more ways than one. Mama said that when she brought me home, I was so little. I think I weighed like maybe 2 pounds at the most. She used to carry me around on a pillow or in a shoebox, and she used wash rags for my diapers.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
Could you imagine me being that little?
No.
Well, apparently the good Lord must have wanted me here for something, because I'm here. Hello, world.
I know. We should talk about that. We should talk about how, all of the amazing, how you're just so lucky and all of your blessings.
Oh, Lord, I have many blessings.
Yeah.
I have many blessings. The good Lord has treated me good, more than I deserve. But I can honestly say that I have had a very blessed, happy life. And I had a wonderful, blessed childhood. I wouldn't trade it for nothing. A lot of crazy stuff happened, but, it was all worth it. I wouldn't change a thing. I was blessed when I got to leave my braces off, and I was blessed when I had Dusty, because the whole time I was growing up, they would always tell me, oh, you'll never be able to have kids. Because, part of my birth defect was my kidneys and my ureters.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is the way I describe it. Your kidneys look like a bean, and then you have the tubes that run from your kidneys to your bladder. Well, those ureters, that's what they're called, on me were not in the proper place. When you think about a bean, your ureters are supposed to be like in the middle of the bean.
Mm.
Well, my ureters were on top.
Mm.
So I was not, use the bathroom right. And that urine was staying in my kidney.
Mm.
And if it stays in your kidney too long, it turns, it's like poison.
Yeah.
And so, just all that stuff, is probably, what caused a lot of my major health problems. Because I used to have bad kidney infections. I still do. I just don't have them as frequently as I used to. But all the surgery that I had to be done as I grew. Like, they had to clip them and, attach them at lower rates so that I wouldn't have the backflow and I wouldn't have the stagnation. So, they did that, when I was 3, 7, and 11.
Mm.
And also, when I was 7, I think I was the first child, or maybe, I'm not sure, but I was in the top children who had the surgery done. They used to call it heel and cord operations. And what it is, in cerebral palsy, it makes your muscles spastic to where, they tense up. And you don't grow like you're supposed to. The ligaments don't grow like you're supposed to. And what it causes whichever body is affected, it starts drawing you up into contorted ways, and your body, your muscles and ligaments are not responding as you grow. And so what they did is they learned how to clip your ligaments to allow your body to adjust as you grew.
Mm.
And I was one of the first people that had that done. And that was really the main way that I was actually able to get out of my braces eventually. And I was in a body cast for, I think, 6 weeks.
Mm.
And it was so weird because what it was like my legs were like this with a big board in the middle. And the only thing that stuck out was my toes. And can you imagine Mama having to tote me like that? And she was toting me up and down the bank at the lake, fishing. That had to be a funny sight.
Mm.
She's got a picture of me on the bed on Easter. It's crazy. I'm sitting there with myself in a cast, almost a body cast, but like this, and it just looks so weird. And oh man, it would itch. Ooh, I itch. I'd have to use a pencil or a hanger or whatever I can get to scratch. And Lord, you should have seen my legs when they took that thing off. It was like,
How old are you?
I was 7. It was crazy because your skin gets so dry and you get used to having the weight of the cast. And when they cut that cast off, I felt like I'd lost 10, 15 pounds. And it was really weird, interesting going to the bathroom, but I won't go into that. It's a good thing Mama was young and strong. She should have just put a string on me and just dragged me along.
Man. So what do they have out there for us to eat? Noah? Who came in here and said it was time to eat?
I'm getting a little hungry.
Okay, so how about if there's anything you want to tell anybody? You want to tell anything to your grandkids if they watch this later?
Sure.
What do you want to tell them?
That I love them very much, and I will always love them, and I want them to know that I'm always available for them 24/7. And there's nothing that they could ever say or do that would change how I love them. And if they need someone to talk to or someone to understand, I'm here, and I want them to know that my door is always open, and they will always be in my heart forever, and I will love them forever, and nothing will ever change that. And I not only feel that way towards my grandchildren, I feel that way with all of my family and friends that I know. I just love people, and I wish that more people could love each other instead of us being so bad. Humans have really treated each other badly for generations. It would be nice to think that we could change. Maybe someday we will. But the most important thing of all, you have to believe in God. You have to have faith. And if you believe in God and love Him and have faith, you will be blessed more than you could even imagine. It just gives you strength and peace of mind. And just think of how awesome it's going to be when we can all be together again and be in heaven. It's just wonderful.
All right, let's go get some food. That was fun. That was fun.
I don't know.
I think you did great. Let's see here.
Well, I didn't really know I was being in a TV thing.
Yeah, I know. That's how easy it is.
It's kind of embarrassing.
What are you talking about?
Because I said a lot of crazy stuff. But maybe it'll give somebody some laughs. Laughing.
Alexa's on? Okay.
Laughing is healthy for you. We need more laughter and more fun. Yeah. Life is too short for serious and fussing and fighting. These things really do knock out a lot of the...
Isn't that cool?
Yeah, it is. These are a lot like mine. They might be
here. Stay on. So, stay on just a second. We are going to raid my friend here. So, what this means, I want you to... Okay, I'm going to describe this to you. You see this girl over here on the right?
Her?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
She's my co-host. So when I do this talk show, I do it with her. So you're the very first guest I've ever had on without her. So congratulations.
Well, thank you.
So we are going to... Now what she's doing is she's playing Tetris right now. So we're going to send everybody here who's watching us is now going to go watch her. And then that will give her the ability to say hi to you. Okay?
Oh, okay.
So everybody here, stick around. If you're not already following Line Piece Lex, give her a follow. And we'll see you on Tuesday night for an official broadcast. So let's just see if there's a couple things you might want to catch up with here. My dad says, miss ya, and tell Andy Gomer said, hey. Okay. Good night, y'all. Thanks for hanging out with us. And hang on just one second. Okay, that's done. And then we just come right here. We hit this stop